Okay, come on, thingy. It's like the little train that could. There we go. It's back. Gotta love those computer freezes. Gotta love them. All right, thank you. I hate it when that happens. So, anyways, where we're at with this thing is it works, but it doesn't. Like it's we still have a problem. So what could it be? What could it be? All right. Anyway, so we now have a VCO output. That it's kind of working, but it's just not. What is that? That's horrible looking. Yeah, this thing's got like issues. Yeah, this thing has issues. But we got output now from the VCO. And it is working. Now FN is not stable. There's a lot of jitter on that thing. So we got problems with the VCO still. So yeah, it's just increasing in frequency very slowly. So but our phase detector output looks just weird. So it's just a high, like a constant high. I mean, yeah, it's just not. It's not doing anything at all. So let's see. 14 is the input to the PLL. And it's noisy, jittery, nasty. You know? And I got no idea what some of these inductors do. Come on. Because, yeah, I got no alignment in this radio. I don't know how the hell to align it. But it looks horrible. It's like there's some issue in that mixer or something. That thing that's either up mixing or down mixing this thing. There's some issue in this. So, Alright, that's L22 there. And it's doing something sort of complicated. I have to think about what this is doing. So, what is it doing? This must be trimming this this crystal. This other inductor here. Yeah. It's definitely changing the frequency of it. So that's what that does. So, okay, so that must be L20. So I have no idea what to tune L20 for as far as frequency is concerned. But what I can tune L20 for is I can tune it for nothing. Basically, it just stops oscillating. But I have no idea what to tune it for. And then we have this TP3, which is on the output of the L19, or 18 rather. And I'm going to assume that that's tuned for maximum output. And then we have TP2, which is really pin 7 of the op amp, which is probably adjust for XYZ voltage. Of course, of which and what voltage I don't have any idea. But if I tune the VCO, I can tune that voltage, or I can tune it until I see that voltage come off the top. So, yeah, I have no idea. So, changing the bands doesn't change anything. Of course, the radio has no output power either. So if I tune that, there we have output power. It's at 28.9 some megahertz, but not actually doing anything. Like it thinks it's locked, so and of course when it thinks it's locked, I don't have any F in, which is just crazy. That's just strange as hell. So the PLL thinks it's locked when I have no input to it. What? So there we go. Now I got 3 megahertz going into it, and the radio, of course, is like it's trying to do something. sporadically locking and unlocking and stuff. I think this tank coil's wrong. I still do. I don't think it's right. It's pulsing. Where are you? I don't know. I'm at a loss. It's just pulsing. Alright, I'm fairly convinced that this thing needs the right tank coil. It's working more than it was. It has output. The VCO is in no way, shape, or form locking at all. It just, I have no idea. It's got the wrong coil on it. I'll try moving that back to the other end of the coil again, but I suspect that coil is not for this particular variant of the PLL circuit. And what is the lock detect line on? Oh, this stupid camera's doing that stupid hunting thing because I rebooted the computer. Yeah, stop doing that. All right. It's pin 16. Okay. Yeah. It's just acting weird. Well, I can't say it's acting weird. It's actually acting like a VCO that it can't control. And, yeah, I'm thinking let's see, where's my op amp? All right. Try more experiments. Let's get it out again, the coil. Okay. Huh. Look at that. The shroud actually came off of the coil. I think I was trying to get that to happen the last time, and When I yanked it, it actually came off. Cool. Let's go take a peek in this coil. Let's see what's up with it. Oh, somebody's been in this coil. Yeah, somebody's been in this coil. That's the problem. Yeah, somebody has been in this coil. Ho 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 ho. Yeah, somebody's been in there. Somebody's played with this coil. That's not how this should be looking. Somebody's moved the wire in this coil. So I'm convinced this coil is bad now. Somebody's played with this coil. All right. For grins, stick the 148 coil back in it. So, two things here. One, because somebody's played with this coil, there's absolutely no reason to continue. None whatsoever. Because who the hell knows what happened to that coil? Somebody screwed with it. So there's no reason to play around with it anymore. It's just foobar radio without a replacement that's probably the right coil. Somebody probably tried to make it work. Failed in doing so. And that's all there is to it. But let's just see for ins if the characteristics of a 148 coil are similar enough that maybe it will work, and maybe we'll get a stable lock. What I'm looking for is just for it to lock. I don't give a damn if it's the wrong frequency. I'm just looking to see if it will lock. That's already looking a lot better than it was, actually, as crazy as that sounds. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually doing what I expected it to do. Yep, it's not doing what it was doing before. Alrighty then, what frequency are we oscillating at on this VCO? It's going to be wrong, but I'm not interested in the... Alright, let's get this thing back to... Yeah, it's very, very touchy. So okay. Alrighty then. All right, so Mr. Black Box Radio, just to summarize, needs a tank coil. Because somebody wanted to play with this one. And they got in there and they screwed with it. It's a very small coil as far as number of windings. Yeah, it's not a big coil at all. Just wonder if something can be made to work. If I can get this one out. Fat chance. This one's crimped together pretty good. Nope. I'm not going to get the 148 coil apart. Alright. So, we have what somebody may have taken. Yeah, I know. It's just that this one only has like maybe 5 turns on it. I mean, I could see it. I think it's only like 5 turns. It seems awfully small. You know? Seems like an awfully few amount of turns. Yeah, I know. You gotta shim the thing out. I've gotten them apart too. It's just I'm not all that interested in all seriousness. It's a situation where somebody screwed with the coil and don't understand how inductors work, and you got in there and screwed with a coil, and yeah, fancy that. Try it without the cover. Yeah, see, like it wants to work if it's bottomed out. Oh man, it's comical. Ho ho! The needle is slammed with the radio and receive. I wonder what frequency that was oscillating at. I gotta see this. The thing is slammed in receive. What frequency is this VCO? Woohoo! It doesn't have the. I deliberately didn't put the cover on the coil, the shroud. I deliberately didn't put the shroud on it because I wanted to play around with it. So we're getting all kinds of ingress into that coil. It changes the coil. So oh yeah, this is entertaining is what it is. Alright, so now we've got the cover on the coil. Should be able to tune it better now. There we go. Yeah, so we have bad coil. What else is new? Same thing we had before, which I suspected that it was a problem. I got to bottom out the coil. And as I bottom out the coil, the slug all the way in the bottom, I can see where it's starting to stabilize. So something is up with that coil. I'm wondering if I can change the slug. Those are about the same length. I don't know about permeability of the slug or any of that. Just give it a shot. Since somebody's changed the coil, yeah. Well, beats me. It really does. Huh. Okay, so that's FN. It's our reference. Our reference just looks horrible. I wonder if this is even the right PLL chip. Because problem with pin 8 on this is that that's the oscillator output. So that's not typically how you stuff a reference into this thing. So that's where I'm kind of having a problem with that. Because that's the oscillator output and not its input. But yeah. It's an interesting reference circuit. So because the last PLL that was in this, which I'm sure I already chucked it in the bin. In fact, no, I didn't. It's actually sitting right over here on the edge of the table because I haven't cleaned up in here. Somebody cut the pin off, and I'm wondering now that I start thinking about this more, did somebody bodge this PLL into this radio? That's another curiosity question. Was this bodged in? Because I have no idea. I don't know anything about it. Other than what's written on the front. I don't know anything about it. I'm wondering, because reference is nasty, so did I misunderstand someone's bodge for a modification? Now I'm just experimenting, so, I mean... So, let's get this PLO out. Let's put the one with a busted pin into this thing. On purpose, of course. Because... I don't like how the reference looks. All right. But yeah, if I knew more about it, then I could tell you guys, but I really don't. Now I'm just trying to think, like, this thing got modified for a reason. You know, why did it get modified? Is this old PLL with the missing pin really a modification? The other clue that gives me is that this PLL barely fits in the footprint. So the original PLL was a different... The PLL that was intended, maybe it was a different chip. Because, I mean, this thing barely fits. I'm halfway wondering if I can acquire the original or the PLL that's on the schematic and put it in here and see what happens. But certainly the programming, you know, the programming. Unless it used this exact same programming. See, of course it's not working now. There's no reference into the PLL. So it should just act all not locky. Because it can't lock. Like, it can't do it. But what happens if I bodge in the ref in? Like that. Now it's on the input. And not on the output like it is with the other chip, which is the one without the cut leg. No, it's not really acting that much different. And well, it is acting different, but There's like no output power. Come on. We get anything? Very touchy is what we got. Very touchy. Got that same pulsing going on. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. So. I'm thinking that this is a parts radio. Because yeah, I have no idea what's been done to it. I got a tank coil that doesn't match the radio. I got an uncontrollable VCO. Yeah. And I got something that doesn't make any sense. Still, I got two things in here really don't make any sense. Alright, so what is a KS 8805? Anybody have any idea what a KS 8805 is? KS 8805. Let's see. I found some datasheet thingy on it. It's a Samsung part. Oh, you see? You see? That's a different chip. Control registers clock. Lock detect out, face detect out. The difference between the well, I actually have the data sheet, like the Samsung data sheet. Here's the problem. The KS8805 pin 8 is the yeah, that's it. I mean, having the data sheet, I have way more data than he has on that website, though. He should probably put this data sheet on there. Yeah. Because I have everything. I've got how to program it, how to do everything. I hear the pussycat. This can't work in here. The 145, 162 can't work in here. It physically can't work. And that's kind of the problem, because pin 8 on the KS8805 is an oscillator input, and on the 145-162 it is an output, which is why it's it was working before with it, which is probably why that pin was busted off the chip. Somebody busted that pin off the chip, the original one, because it's ironic because I still had it. It was sitting over here in a pile that I tend to throw these semiconductors in. And here's something else for irony. I think it's a different package size as well. Yeah. It is. It's a different package size too. The KS8805 is a different component. But it's very, very, very similar to the 145-162. In fact, they program the same, and I think they are the same, except that pins 8, 7, and 8 are swapped around, which is why they cut that pin off of the chip to put it in here. The plot thickens. So the tank coil is the wrong coil. The PLL chip is the wrong PLL chip. But the 145-162, we know it'll work because I've had it working before. So we know it'll work. But the reference oscillator is so jittery that I doubt it could lock, because there's so much jitter on the reference. The reference isn't clean. Yeah, the reference going in isn't clean. It's nasty. But it's clean up here at the crystal. So let's see if I can't find some nice let's get rid of this right here. Alright, so now we have no reference in because it's desoldered. So let's try to take it from somewhere else. I got a little piece of wire around here somewhere. It just bridge our clean reference into it and see if that helps, because it's pretty nasty. And I'm sure that probably will not change a thing, in which case what I will probably do at that point is, because it's getting on for 9 o'clock on a Saturday night, and I gotta do work. Yes, I'm not really completely out of the woods yet on the work. Not completely. And I'll have to do some work. I'll have to just call it a night. And figure it out another time. Because, yeah, this one is, I'm thinking we've got a case of the serious bodgies going on here. Wrong PLL chip, wrong, well, close enough PLL chip. I think it should still work. All right. So let's see. How's that reference look now? Oh, that's perfectly clean. Okay. We got a clean reference going into it now. Yeah, I gotta move that wire back. It works better when it's on the other side of the transformer. So I don't know if it really makes any sense to move it around because it just seems to work best there. And that's because that's gonna... Yeah, that caused it to not work. Why is that? That's really strange. Okay. That hasn't happened before. Huh. Yeah, that has not happened before. Yeah, that's not happened before. Well, what I do know is that this radio has the wrong PLL chip in it. And it has the wrong tank coil in it. So I'm pretty sure that this is a lost cause. The last time I played around with this radio, it had a 145 162 in it. And it had pin 8 that was mysteriously gone. And the funny thing about that is I still had that pin 8 missing chip over here in a pile that I put semiconductors, just bad semiconductors. I just tend to throw them in a pile. In a little bucket over here. And it was still sitting there right on top. So, you know, looking at the diagram to this radio in pin 8 is the output of the 145 106s or 145 162s oscillator, reference oscillator. It's the output. So why would they tie it to the output? You know? You look at the internal diagram of the chip, it should work, you would think, because pin 7 is the input and it's got this inverting, you know, amplifier and whatnot going on in it. So lottery, you guys play lottery. But anyway, so I think it should work. But when I start looking at the data sheet for the PLL, the KS8805, pin 8 is the input and 7 is the output for the oscillator. So that would explain why somebody potentially cut pin 8 off of the chip. But I still think it should work. I don't know. I'm sort of foggy on that printed circuit board number. You guys asked me that the last time, and it is actually here on the top. Number that I see on here is a 9821R20. So that's 9821 Romeo 20. The footprint on the circuit board doesn't look suitable for the 145-162. It just doesn't look right. But the 145-162 and the KS8805 are electrically the same, except for pins 7 and 8 are reversed. So I'm really kind of like, what's the deal with that? You know? Is that why somebody cut pin 8 off of that PLL chip? But I just bodged it into pin 7, which is the input, and I bodged a clean 10.24 into it because the other one was jittery nasty. And so I've got it going from a different spot on the board. Yeah, and the one that you sent me the last time didn't match this radio. So I've got a case where the tank coil that's in here electrically doesn't work unless it's bodged in. That's red flag number 1. Red flag number 2 is we have a PLL chip, the 145-162, that doesn't quite fit on the pads on here. It doesn't quite fit. So soldering it in is actually very interesting because the chip is narrower. The 145-162 is narrower than the pads are. So clearly it's a larger package than the KS8805 is a different package than the 145-162. So not only is it a different package, but it also has the oscillator input on a different pin. And then we have this issue with this tank coil, which, you know, is somewhat suspicious. And then I had this bad transistor at TR26. That was just a bad transistor, which, I mean, okay, so I had a bad transistor. I mean, that's peculiar, but okay. You know, shit happens. You get a transistor that fails, no big deal. Yeah, I don't like this. Yeah, I don't like this. So I'm thinking that this thing is it needs a tank coil and it needs a PLL chip. The right PLL chip. Because IC10 in this radio isn't IC10. It's a hybrid pack that, you know, is a different. It's just a different hybrid pack. I'll have to look at your diagram. But if it's the one that Mike sent me, which I suspect it is, since you guys found the info, it didn't match. It didn't match what I have physically here. So I'm at a loss. I really am. So I've got a radio with a bad... Oh, and somebody's played around with this coil. Because when I open up the coil, I could see where one of the wires has been taken off of the post. And I suspect there may be some turns missing on that transformer. So I think somebody adapted this transformer to this radio. And they got it close, but no cigar. And I think maybe I got lucky the last time and I got it close. And I actually used the radio and it worked. But, yeah, I don't think this is... I think that I've got a couple of problems with this. I think that this thing has just been bodged to death too much. You know, we got a tank coil that doesn't work. We got a PLL chip that's questionable at best. So I'm just wondering if I can't find a KS8805, you know, new old stock to put in here. So I'll look on the flea bay here right quick, but if I don't find one, then let's see, KS8805. Okay. Doesn't look like it. So this bloke has I don't know. I'm gonna have to contact this seller that's in London and see if he really does have this part or not, because the listing seems to be 13 megahertz. Nah, this thing's running at 16 megahertz, this VCO. I can't get it to stick to 13 megahertz, which is what I suspected that it is. I can't get this VCO to run at that frequency. But let's see what we got coming out of it right here. All right. $14.8. Okay. Yes, this is running at like 20 megahertz and 11 megahertz and 14 megahertz. I can't get it down to 13 megahertz. So, or yeah, I just can't get it down there. It's a peculiar thing, and that's probably because somebody screwed with that coil. So, I can't say that I'm surprised. Somebody screwed with the coil. That's going to take the VCO frequency. It's going to make it go somewhere else because, well, it's the tank coil. Yeah, the reason that they're using the op amp, for those who don't understand what's going on in this phase lock loop, they're using the op amp as a level shifter. It's also doing some filtering, but the filters are actually present before the op amp. But the op amp is because the PLL runs at a 5 volt level and the VCO runs at 8 volts. They're doing some level shifting with it. So yeah, it's kind of clever, kind of not. But yeah, it's a lot to do with level shifting the voltage, that's all. And it's actually op amps are obviously good filters as well. So, if anything, this VCO should be pretty stable. Yeah, because they're using it also as a filter. They're level shifting it and using it as a filter. So it should be really good and stable because of that fact. But this thing is all over the shop. 15 megahertz, you know, that this thing's running at. Not 13 megahertz. You know, somebody screwed with a coil, and you know, it's just see if I can't extract my little piece of wire. There we go. And bridge it to the other pin again. See what that when it changes the tap on that VCO tank coil, where it takes this VCO. 15 megahertz. Yeah, see, this isn't just. Yeah, I can't get it at. Yeah, I don't. The lowest I can get this thing to go is 15 megahertz. The crystal is 14.01 megahertz in this radio, incidentally. Or at least that's what I'm measuring at the crystal. I need to get that crystal out. I really do. I keep on measuring it, and it's like, okay, you know, is it... It's covered up. I don't know what the frequency is. So, let's take it out and see, you know, what it really is. You know, if it really is 14 megahertz, or is that crystal's bad or something crazy like that. Okay. This crystal frequency is 1401. So, there you have it. It's 14.01 megahertz, not 13.56. Yep, 1401. So this is, yeah, like I said, this is a variant. You know, this is not the same as what you guys have. Which of course makes it more difficult because it's a variant, and you know, we don't have a diagram for the variant. We have a diagram for a different version of it. So, yeah, I saw all that, but the problem is I got different frequencies, and I got different parts, and I don't have an adequate diagram of the radio, and nothing matches. There's just nothing matches. So that crystal really is 14.01 megahertz, which is what I'm measuring, 14.01 megahertz. So it's not crazy, it's not a fluke, it's just, it is what it is. FN right now is 1 megahertz. Changing the channel causes it to bump a little bit. like I can see FN changing. So it's trying to change it, but it's not succeeding in actually changing it. The phase detector output looks like a phase detector output. So the reference input is really very weak. So that just, yeah, this thing with the reference in this is just too ominous, you know? There's something just funky with the reference here. I need to try to get the original phase lock loop check because this doesn't make any sense. I need to contact that eBay seller, see if I can't get the right chip. Where's the second diagram that you have that shows the 162? Everything that everybody has sent me doesn't have a 162 in it. It has this KS8805. So I'd like to see that one because I think that one's different than what I've seen prior. But I don't think this radio is supposed to have a 162 in it. Not this one physically. But I'd like to see the one with the 162 on it because everything that I've seen has this KAS number. All right. Let's see. It's bizarre, is what that is. All right. Yeah, I think this is probably a give up. I think this is a give up. Where do I go to get it on your site? All right, radio. All right, let's see. I don't know, downloads? Oh, in the members area. See if I can get that up on my phone. Let's see. Okay. PCB high resolution diagrams. You said it was the Striker variant. All right, so I'm going to look for the Striker. Where am I? Let's see. PRS. Striker, you said it was PCBX 9821 new. Okay, so let's download this and have a peek. Alright, so this M145162. Now, if you notice, pin 7 is used instead of pin 8. On this diagram, pin 8 is used because it's a different chip. But that's essentially where the differences on the chip end. Which is what I've actually got going on right now. I actually have it bodged into pin 7. Which is fine, because that's pretty much the deal. Now, maybe this is the same one that Mike sent me, because it has that center tapped coil. I have to go and look at my email. Maybe he did send me this one, because he's got that center tapped coil just like you've got that center tapped coil thing going on here, because I remember looking at that, and that's where I've got it now. But I think somebody's tampered with that coil. Okay, so what else could be going south in here, if, assuming it's all right now, with the bodges that I've done? I'm fairly certain I'm not supposed to be having RF where I'm having RF, which is on pin 6 of the op amp. Pretty sure I'm not supposed to have RF there. Yeah. Well, hang on. That's pin 6. I have no idea why I have RF on pin 6. And why I have even bigger RF on pin 7. Because that's... yeah, there's not supposed to be RF there. Okay. I have RF. What? Okay. Pin 15. I have RF coming out of the PLL chip, I think. What? What's coming out, what's going into FN is actually coming out of the phase detector. Alright, that's strange. Yeah, I've got it going into pin 7, but I've got RF coming out of the phase detector. I have a square wave 1 megahertz coming out of it. I think this PLL chip is probably no good. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Hey, Puss Puss. Hey, Puss Puss. How you doing, Puss Puss? Oh, don't get up here. The damn cat wants to see what's going on. He usually a lot of times he will actually sit up here and, you know, do his thing. So, you gonna let me work on this, or are you just gonna sit there? This isn't a place for you, buddy. Come on, Puss Puss. You get down now. All right. I'm gonna get my other one back, the one that I pulled off because I didn't have the cut pin, and I'm gonna put this one back. Yeah, right. He does want to work on the radio. He wants to play. He wants to play. He wants me to play with him. There's nobody home right now because the wife and the little man are at the coast at the in-laws, and I had to work. So they went there for the weekend, so I'm actually all by my lonesome here. And yeah, so just gonna get this thing back out. I'm gonna do the same mod to my chip. And actually this is the radio with the programmable bands, remember? So you know, you could have it on any band you wanted. That was the problem that I had. It was working, and then it was like, okay, you know, the bands were all wrong. So I just don't know what else has failed in here. You know, so because this is that radio that has the bands that you can program. You guys had the instructions where you move the jumpers and then you turn the channel selector, you know, something. You guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah, this is that radio. So, no party at Mark's. No. No party here. You see what I'm doing? This isn't a party. There's no party, man. Alright, so now I'm going to do something that first I'm going to get rid of this PLL chip that has the RF coming out of it. Second, I'm going to do something to this PLL chip that I normally wouldn't do, which I'm going to cringe doing this. Which is to cut the pin off. Ooh. That's a cringeworthy moment right there. Cutting the pin off of a chip. Ooh. Horrors. Oh, the horror. But yeah, I'm going to try this, give it a go with a new chip or with the other chip that doesn't have RF coming out of strange places. And we'll see what happens. Because RF coming out of strange places is not a good thing. And then I'm going to bridge the pads. Just sent a picture of what you're doing. To me? I don't have it yet. I do now. Oh, the Hammerlund. That's a cool looking radio too. Alright. Let's see what we got now. Well, FN doesn't look crazy like it was before. I don't have RF coming out of the phase detector anymore. So those are good signs. But the radio is just not happy. It's jittering and skittering and occasionally locking, occasionally unlocking, you know. Anyway. Yeah, it's not a happy radio. It's not staying locked. It's just bouncing up and down, up and down, up and down. Let's see what we got coming out of our op amp. We got like 6 volts coming out of our op amp. And it doesn't change when I change the channel selector. What else is new? And that's because the PLL doesn't seem to be changing in any way, shape, or form. So those are those varactor diodes, and they're not changing. Yeah, I think that without knowing what's up with this tank coil, I think this is a lost cause. That is a good possibility. The reason that I'm hesitant to do any of that is because this tank coil, somebody screwed with it. Like, somebody opened it up and change the windings in there. So I'm inclined to believe that it's probably that and not the 13.86 megahertz. Well, we can confirm that we're getting data. L17. Somebody screwed with it. Somebody went in and started screwing around with it. I got data pulses on the, clock and such. So I'm not a believer that it's getting bad data. I'm a believer in somebody screwed with that tank coil, and I'm fighting a bad tank coil because somebody got in there and screwed with it. That's what I believe I'm fighting at this point. Because I cannot rule it out. I'm sorry, not L18. L17. I think I told you L17. L17. Somebody screwed with it. They opened it up and they screwed with it. And because of that, I can't rule it out. So I think this one is going to have to go for another day, because I actually do have to get work sorted. Yeah. No, L18 is fine. L18 didn't get screwed with. LL17 got screwed with. Yeah, somebody screwed with it. I can't rule it out as the problem, and because of that, it's sort of a lost cause, I suspect. So, it's been fun, guys, but I really do have to get some work sorted. If I can play around with it tomorrow, I will, but I don't honestly know. So, it's just, I got to get through some work stuff, and you know how that is. So, but if anybody has any epiphanies, by all means, shoot me a message. Because maybe somebody screwed around with the coil, but maybe they didn't screw around with it enough to make it bad. I don't know. I really don't know. So, thoughts? Please direct them my way. Shoot me a message. Something. In the meantime, I will hunt to see if maybe I can find that coil. And maybe think about it some more. But anyway, guys, like I said, it's been fun, but I got to wrap it up, and I got to do some work. And then I got to do some more work tomorrow. And I got to go stir crazy looking at more Verilog. Verilog and C#. That's what I've been having my head glued around for the last 2 weeks. So, I'd love to play with it, but, yeah. Hey, gauge shotgun. It could be PD filtering. And, yeah, I don't know if these caps have been replaced. They don't look like tantalums. In fact, I don't see any tantalums in there at all. I don't see any tantalums in there. So, yeah, they're probably regular electrolytic. But on that note, I gotta go, guys, because this phone call I actually have to take. So, cheers for now. I will catch you guys later.